Hey, Zach.
Hey, Alex.
And welcome, everyone, to the
Pokemon
Power
Power
Podcast.
Podcast.
Sounds pretty good. I think you nailed it, Zach.
It only took how many episodes? 103? Nailed
This is episode 14, Zach. Please don't lose track. we need to be the experts here. I'm the expert in Pokemon, but we're both experts on this podcast. Oh, and before we get too far in, like them, subscribe them, and follow them. Leave a review where you don't yell. Pokemon Power Podcast. Zach, I want to let you know.
Sounds recorded. That sounds
you're vibing
super.
To that.
I mean, that was your best version yet that you've ever done. So
I sped it up. It didn't last forever like it normally does. I did finally ask my friend to do it, and he said, "I'll get it done when I get it done." So I could be singing this for another year.
Yeah,
who knows? So real quick, I wanted to head into our segment Apology Time. Mm-hmm. But Zach, we don't need to apologize. We did everything perfectly.
Wow. Is that for real? Like,
no
for
apologies.
Real,
I have nothing to apologize. Do you have anything to apologize for?
Like in general, like in my real life, for sure.
Sure. You want to apologize to anyone?
Yeah, just something. I like to apologize here and then not to the actual person. I think that's the best.
And then tell them.
That's the real reason I agreed to do a podcast. I agreed to do a podcast to have an opportunity to apologize to people, but not
indirectly.
Yeah, indirectly apologize. Yeah.
Well, Zach, we're not going to apologize for it, but one thing we are doing is we are streamlining our podcast a little more. We're trying to keep the time between 25 and 35 minutes. We have ourselves a timer now that's going to help us do that. So we're really going to help this go a lot faster. So, Zach, I have to ask you, pick a number 1 through 3.
2.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Let's see. It's time for the segment. Alex tries an accent. 2 is Mario from Super Mario.
You forgot? Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go.
Wahoo! Okie dokie. Spaghetti. Ravioli. Oh no. Luigi.
1/4 of the words you said are actually Mario lines. You're just saying, tropes, Italian tropes.
Well, that's not my fault. I didn't write Mario's dialogue. He just likes to talk about spaghetti and raviolis. Oh, meatball!
You're not even saying you're not saying the one most iconic Mario.
What?
It's me, Mario.
Oh yeah, I guess he does say that. Let's move on. It's time for the icebreaker. Zach, you prepared an icebreaker for us. Let's hit it.
Oh my gosh, I prepared so many icebreakers. So, we're
none that we did the last 2 weeks, but you did prepare icebreakers this time. Okay, but what is it?
So right now, I know we released the episodes kind of a different time when we're recording them, but right now my son, and I don't know if you have this and how this is going for you, but like it's October, and so it's time that our kids want to like celebrate Halloween if they're allowed to or whatever. But like California, it's like a no Halloween state, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so
very Christian state.
Yeah, super. I mean, that's what they're like. This is actually witchcraft. We're not doing it anymore. No, so they.
By the way, we also need to stop doing this Pokemon podcast because there's evolution in it.
That's so true. Oh, they're against it. But so anyway, but I mean, that's really hard. It's been hard to explain COVID to a 3-4-year-old,
sure.
Like, why can't you go to any parks anymore? And so it's been like the sickness, right? That's what we say. The sickness is happening. And much
like Dr. Fauci, we're down with the sickness.
And so he's like, so anytime we can't do something, he gets it. So he's like, is this because of the sickness? And I'm like, yeah, the sickness is still. And then when we can do something, like when something reopens. You sound
like you're in a horror movie, by the way. Is this the sickness? All right. I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you.
Anyway, what we were talking about today is Halloween, and I was having to explain, like, so like it's going to be different. You're not going to be able to go door to door and like get candy, and it's because of the sickness. And so he was sad, but then I don't know if he got it. But what we ended up talking about is like, hey, what do you want to dress up as? And I've been hoping that he says something that's easy to do. And today he said, I want to be like our own superheroes that we make up.
Cool.
And I was like, thank the Lord, because before it's like, I want to be a specific type of thing. And it's like, I don't want to have to pay for that costume or make it again. And so if you already have something that you're going to be for Halloween, I'd like to hear that. That's our icebreakers, to hear that. Or if not, what would you like to dress up as for Halloween this year?
So Zach, I am as we've mentioned on this show before, I'm anti-fashion. So as far as Halloween, I don't normally think too much about it. For instance, some costumes I've been in the past, refrigerator. I put a big box on, and then I
Smart.
could open one part of the box. So I was a refrigerator. One time I was a bumblebee. I wore a yellow shirt with black stripes that I made out of paper.
Yeah.
One time I was a robber, which I had a black and white shirt that I already owned, and then I put one like a fishnet stocking over my head.
Love it.
So just classic Halloween costumes.
Yeah.
But my daughter wants to be a Pokemon trainer. And so I've been thinking about, maybe I could be a Pokemon trainer with her, and I could maybe do an Ash Ketchum sort of thing where, vest, but I don't own any vests because I'm not dumb.
Okay. I mean, like even like a dress vest, like with a
I guess
suit.
I do own a vest.
Dumb.
What am I talking about? I own several vests. Actually, my whole closet is vests.
It's all sweater vests.
Sorry, I have so much vest shame, people. But yeah, no, maybe I'll do Ash Ketchum. I can wear my hat backwards, wear a vest. I got some shorts I can wear. He's famous for shorts, much like the short wearing kid in Pokemon. He likes shorts. And that way I can kind of be a Pokemon trainer with my kids. What about you? What do you want to be?
I love that. I mean, I'm glad that you're not only making.
I'm trying to stay on brand for this podcast.
Yeah, your kids, or you're making sure your kids are about the advertising the podcast.
I'm going to do a trade at every house, and I'm going to be like, "Thank you for giving me this COVID candy. Here's a COVID flyer for my podcast. Please listen."
Go, yeah. I love the idea of like an all digital thing. You're handing people a piece of paper, like, "Hey, here's a piece of paper to look up on your phone."
It's going to be a picture of me doing flexing. Yeah. Okay. Hit me with what you want to be.
So, I mean, I'm excited that Everett's idea was superheroes, and we could, but it has to be real superpowers. And I'm still not sure what that means, because his is he's going to have ice powers, I think, but also he can like move things with his mind. So I'm excited to do that. I will say this is actually not something I've been, but one of my students who doesn't listen to this podcast and will never know this, he's ashamed of this because it's like this top costume that like is ironic in like the 3-hole punch gym level that like now he's never been able to do anything. He came into like our party in his costume, and it was just like regular clothes, but he had a stick that he was walking with, and up on top of the stick attached to it was a pair of pants, and that's what he walked around in the entire time. What? And I loved it. I want you to think about
pants?
It. He is holding this stick, and it had a pair of pants.
He was holding a stick. It had a pair of pants on it.
And he was walking around. What was he?
He was walking around with a pair of stick pants.
He had the stick. The pants are up. He was
Tom Hanks from the Lost or whatever that movie is, Castaway.
No, he was underpants.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's great. I love it.
And he's never been able to live that down. That was.
So we've got to the bottom of what is Zach going to be for Halloween, and his answer is some kid in my youth group.
No, my answer is underpants.
You could be Captain Underpants, Zach, and walk around with just your underwear on, and then go to a police station. Yeah.
Immediately.
Well, Zach, what a great icebreaker that was to put us in the seasonal mood of Halloween, which by the time this airs will have been 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and will have not happened because COVID.
Yes. Well, Zach, it's time for one of our favorite segments on the show. Gotta elucidate them all. Zach does not know what Pokemon we're going to be talking about today. He's going to see it for the very first time in just a moment, and Zach is going to do his best to describe it without using that Pokemon name, any Pokemon name for that matter, just describing its features. If you're listening to this at home, you can try and guess along. And Zach, you got 30 seconds. Do you feel ready, my good man?
Amazingly ready. That's how ready.
I'm going to bring this one up on the screen.
Okay.
Zach, I'm going to tell you something. This is my challenge for you. I don't even think you're going to know the name of this one.
I mean, yeah, I accept the challenge.
All right, I'm bringing it up. Okay, I'm ready. Here it is. Timer starts.
Oh, okay. Well, number one, I do know this. So what I'm seeing here is a blue blob with arms similar to maybe like a frog eyes that are black, and it's got gloves on its hands, like it's a little tiny boxer. And then on its stomach, or
10
could
seconds.
be its mouth, is what I would say is a large whirl. A whirl. And if you looked into it, you'd get dizzy and you'd fall asleep. That's what it is.
All right, perfect. That's 29 seconds. Zach, who's that Pokemon?
Poliwhirl.
Poliwhirl. Good job. I thought to myself that you might not get it.
You think I'm going to say Poliwag?
No, I thought you might say Poliwrath because they look so similar.
That's true.
They are
I actually probably wouldn't
similar.
have got him.
You would have gone Poliwhirl. The whirl was what gave it away.
Yeah.
I would call that a swirl, but you called a whirl.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whirl. Like a whirligig.
I would call it a swirl, like a swirly gig. So I don't know what you're talking about. One thing before we get into any segments on this, thing I'm a little frustrated by, he is the tadpole Pokemon. Okay. And no. Poliwag is the tadpole Pokemon.
Wait, what's Poliwag then?
Poliwag looks like a tadpole. Poliwhirl looks like a blue boxer. He does not look like a tadpole. I know you just wanted to do that because Poliwrath is still a tadpole Pokemon. Doesn't make any sense.
Well, almost all three of them are tadpole Pokemon?
They're all tadpole Pokemon. That's their category.
Okay.
I'm frustrated by that. I'm angry, Zach, and I will not let go of my anger.
I totally understand your anger, and I empathize with it. But at the same time, I understand maybe where they went. They could have just said it's like a frog Pokemon. For all three, even the tadpole is technically a frog. But I mean, it's like, is it chicken or the egg? Is a chicken is the chicken an egg Pokemon? I don't know.
But I think that's
or
a good
example.
Egg
a chicken Pokemon?
Because if you called a chicken an egg Pokemon, I would be like, get this guy out of here. He's had one too many.
Yeah.
But let's go into our first segment. It's a new one, Zach.
Mm-hmm.
You excited about new segments?
I love it. It shows your creativity. You're so smart. I love it.
Well, thank you. That's very kind. We're doing a new segment today called Second Form or Skip. I'm a firm believer. We haven't talked about this yet, but I'm a firm believer that most of the second forms of three-form Pokemon are unnecessary and frankly unwanted. And much like most people's time in middle school, I think would be better off skipped. During this segment, Zach and I will decide whether the second form is worthy or if the Pokemon Company should have just skipped it. By the way, I've left for the listener, I've left that picture of Poliwhirl up for too long. People want to look at our faces. We're pretty men.
So true. And
that's
you get to see my new backdrop.
Our wives and our mothers. Zach seems to be recording this in a bed.
No. Okay, that's a daybed. It's also a couch that I could just recline on. But I want you to look at this right here. I don't know if you can see it in the blur.
Is that you're interrupting my segment. It's
sorry.
Super Mario World.
Yeah, you got it. Nailed it.
Super Mario 3. Okay. This is a segment called Second Form or Skip. During this segment, Zach and I will decide whether the second form is worthy or if the Pokemon Company should have just skipped them. We will do this by reviewing 3 criteria. Number 1, does it have unique moves or type? Number 2, any unique interesting Pokemon and Pokédex entries. I am failing reading. Number 3, does it have a good, unique design? Okay, Zach. So we're going to go through all of the 3 of these right now. Now, you knew who Poliwhirl was. You didn't get him confused with Poliwrath. So at the very least, he's got that in his favor. Although, would you agree with me that he looks very similar to Poliwrath?
Absolutely.
Poliwrath, for the listener, is almost identical to Poliwhirl. His chest pattern is a little bit different shaped. It's kind of like a more of like a crescent, while Poliwhirl is just a circle. And Poliwrath also has angry eyebrows. And that's about the end of the differences between the two. So not a very unique design.
Okay.
So that's one of the 3 criteria. One of the other ones we talked about, Poliwhirl has the exact same moves and type as Poliwag. So no big differences there, no big changes.
But I mean, is there normally a difference? Not in type.
Sometimes there are. Well, in type, they kind of normally they'll evolve as they go on. Like sometimes they may start as, like, for instance, both Poliwhirl and Poliwag are water type, but maybe down the line, they turn into like water fighting or something like that. But no change here. No change in the type. No change in the moves.
Fine. I mean, that's not making me as angry as you, but it's okay.
Now I will say this. I wanted to outright dismiss Poliwhirl. That I will say that was the baggage I came in with, but he has some pretty cool Pokédex entries from Red and Blue.
Yeah.
It says capable of living. I don't know. You're going to tell me if you think this is cool or not. Capable of living in or out of water. When out of water, it sweats to keep its body slimy.
Oh.
I love this. I love that it's just sweating constantly, so it's like always kind of gross and froggy.
That's awful. I mean, that's awful, but I applaud again the real push towards realism that Pokemon is going for, where they're really showing us like, hey, this is a real thing.
Yes.
Don't you dare think that this Pokemon is just messing around. Like this is the Pokemon is a real thing that exists, and it's gross, just like animals are gross.
Yes. I like it. I like when they describe that Pokemon are gross. I don't like when they describe how they're going to die, which seems to be a thing that the Pokedex is also very interested in. But I do like that it's slimy. And then in gold, I'm going to read this verbatim, Zach, and it may make you upset. It may make you angry, and I'll empathize with your anger.
Okay.
But it says the swirl on its belly subtly undulates. Staring at it may gradually cause drowsiness.
Mm-hmm.
I like this a lot too. Now, I will say, if you watch the anime, you don't see that swirl or that whirl, as Zach likes to call it. You don't see it undulate at all. No undulation taking place. But, I mean, just the idea that it's like slightly waving up and down, it's slightly, and then if you stare at it, you just go into a trance. Yeah,
no, I actually like that. Again, I'm liking both of those because I think that reminds me a little like a Rorschach kind of thing or whatever. And you're looking at it and it's like moving around and it makes sense. Adds a cool thing. But Poliwag has that. Does it only start doing that once it becomes Poliwhirl?
No description of undulating swirls or whirls with Poliwag or Poliwrath. So it's unique to Poliwhirl. So here's the question, Zach. We're coming to the end of this segment. I got to ask you, with this in mind, do you think that second form was worthy of the attention? Should we have just skipped ahead to Poliwrath, or did it make sense for us to go and take that step towards Poliwhirl?
I mean, here's the thing. I like the progression of size that's happening. Like I would be uncomfortable if it went from Poliwag, which is basically a tadpole, straight into like the giant monstrosity,
an angry man.
So I mean, you're not just like born a little tiny baby and then all of a sudden you're a giant man that's punching things. So there's a middle stage in there, and I'm okay with that. And also, I like that they made it unique. It wasn't just like we're throwing it. I think, in my opinion, my humble, unprofessional opinion, I think it's worthy. I don't think it's bad.
Well, Zach, that's your opinion. In my opinion here is you take these cool Pokedex entries, you apply them to Poliwrath, and I think you could just skip Poliwhirl altogether. Poliwhirl, I'm so sorry to tell you this, you filla, baby. Wow. And that's the straight dope. All right, next segment. I'm going to start saying that on this show. I'm going to start calling stuff straight dope.
That's straight dope.
This one, it's something a little different. We've kind of done this in the past, but I want to talk a little bit about the anime. And this is I'm going to take a description of the anime of a Poliwhirl that Misty had in the anime. I'm taking this description straight from Bulbapedia. Zach, feel free to interject as you see fit. It says, after its evolution into Poliwhirl, Misty began to use it in many of her battles as it developed more stability on land. Poliwhirl, however, also had a bit of a confidence problem, where it tended to hide behind Misty's legs to avoid confrontation. In the episode Hook, Line, and Stinker, little pun there, Hook, Line, and Stinker, Poliwhirl overcame its fears after Misty's other Pokemon offered their support. In its future battles during the Whirl Cup, there you go, you get a whirl there, against Delaney, Poliwhirl leaped into the rounds with visible determination. So there you go, Poliwhirl, Misty's Poliwhirl there, had a little bit of a confidence issue, had maybe a little bit of self-esteem issue there.
Here's the thing.
You know what?
That makes me like it less.
I like our differences here because this made me feel a little bit empathetic towards it, and you're just like, no, I don't like it anymore.
No.
Okay, why?
I mean, when you're the weird little tadpole thing, fine. Because if you're throwing that thing into battle, it makes sense why it's like, uneasy. And it's like, look at me. I mean, it's basically, I understand it being worthless. Now you're kind of this cool dude. You've got an undulating stomach thing.
Yes.
You've got fists with gloves on them. Like, I imagine that would be more like it's a little bit too sure of itself. It's like the teenager. Whereas then when you become the big muscular monstrosity, that's when you're more reserved and you've learned. And so I don't know, little shy guy, you're the second evolution. Grow up, bro.
So Zach, just so I'm hearing you straight, you agree with Skip when he said that Dak Prescott should not have come out about being depressed because he's a leader.
Oh my God.
You agree with that, right? You think that Skip was right?
I think that's a little bit taking a little bit of
you think that if people have a depression issue, they should keep that to themselves. They shouldn't share that. Just bottle it up inside. That problem will solve itself.
Doesn't matter now because Dak Prescott is out for the rest of the season probably. So, don't even worry about it.
We're talking about football, baby. Thanks.
Football.
Dad, that one's for you. Dad, if you're listening to this, Dak Prescott.
Yeah, we love that.
Aaron Rodgers. All right, that's all I got.
Good job.
LeBron
you love
James.
It.
Okay.
You love that he talks that he's a little weak baby.
You know what I like? I like that his friends support him. I like that he had a little bit of a confidence issue, but then his fellow Pokemon built him up, and then he started loving himself. He said, you know what? I like the way that God made me, and I'm willing to beat other Pokemon into submission now. So, I think that is just a lesson that we can all learn. I think it's
Absolutely.
great. I wanted to touch on two other quick things. As long as we're touching on the anime, I wanted to bring up real quick here. What do you think Poliwhirl sounds like, Zach? Give me your Poliwhirl impression.
Poliwhirl, like kind of like a frog.
Poliwhirl, it's a ribbit. Like you get that ribbit and you go, Poliwhirl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Good guess. Let's see what Poliwhirl sounds like. This is a clip from the anime. We'll get a little Misty in here too. Let's hear it.
Don't drift too far away, okay, Poliwhirl?
Poliwhirl.
Oh, no. That makes it even more uncomfortable of how like weird it is, like hanging out behind Misty's legs. Now
he has this deep voice.
He's like, he's not like a kid going like, "Oh man, Poliwhirl." I'm not sure. He's like, Poliwhirl.
He sounds like Pete from Mickey Mouse. Like
yes.
He's
the bad guy.
He sounds like a bad guy doofus. That's what he sounds like.
Sure.
He's a Shrek. You know what? Poliwhirl, you're a Shrek.
Okay. Wait, what does that mean?
It's a new thing I'm going to start saying.
Okay.
I'm going to just call people Shreks when they displease me.
All right. I mean,
I guess that's it.
I accept.
I don't have more to it.
when you're mad,
I didn't think through what calling someone a Shrek would mean. But it feels right. It feels good.
Good job.
And the one other thing I wanted to talk about, Zach, before we get into the Pokeball decision, Zach, you're aware of Poliwrath. Do you know who Politoed is?
Politoed. Is he kind of like Poliwrath, but more toad-like? Like the difference between a frog and a toad? That would be my guess.
Politoed is another Pokemon that later on in Pokemon, the series Pokemon, a Poliwhirl could evolve into. This is what Politoed looks like. Do you want to describe that for the listeners at home?
Oh, man. Kind of like a creep. So definitely more like a frog, like the frog that you see, like kind of gets like stuck, like climbing on like glass. You get like a picture of it with its
like
little,
a Mr. Mime almost.
Yeah, and so it's like it's like standing there with its little hands up, and it's got this kind of creepy little baby hair thing that like swoops off the top of it with a little curly Q. It's got red cheeks like Pikachu, and then it's got a swirl, but it's just like one string swirl on its stomach, but it's like clearly a stomach.
It's like a lazy cinnamon roll on his tummy.
Oh yeah, like they messed
Someone
up
only
the
rolled it
cinnamon roll.
once.
You're like, yeah, let's cook it. It feels like something where they were like,
Job well
hey,
done.
we could make a like people are gonna think this is cute. This is gonna be another Pikachu. We got the red cheeks on it. This is gonna be cute, right? And it didn't come together. I'm uncomfortable looking at it.
Okay, so I'm not that pleased with Poliwhirl as an evolution. I think Poliwrath is just a better one altogether that they could just jump right to. And I think maybe that went through their mind too, and they were like, oh, well, let's make a new evolution for Poliwhirl. And then they just made a completely different Pokemon. Like Politoed doesn't feel like it fits that evolutionary line at all. It feels
Is it
like
supposed to be in the line?
You can get a Politoed if you trade a Poliwhirl and it has a King's Rock with it.
No, I'm sorry. It would make sense if you're talking about the Poliwag. But you're saying Poliwhirl. The full
Poliwhirl.
Thing that's already blue and grown.
Yes.
And then it becomes that.
It somehow, seemingly shrinks. I mean, I'm not checking the
Maybe it's
sizes
big. Maybe it's bigger.
Sure. Let's say it's a big frog, like that gross toad from Final Fantasy that you fight in like every game. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Dad, that's for you. I know you love that gross toad. All right, enough talking about Politoads, Poliwraths, Poliwhirls, and Poliwags. Let's get to the Pokemon Pokeball Decision. The Pokeball Decision is a segment on this show where we decide what kind of Pokeball we're going to give to this Pokemon. It doesn't have anything to do with rarity, just has everything to do with how badly do we want this Pokemon. Do we want it a Pokeball, a Great Ball, an Ultra Ball, a Master Ball? We can also choose to flee or throw a rock. Zach, what are you going to do?
I mean, I already used my rock set. So, I mean, unless I really, really hated something. But
you only had one rock?
I guess I could pick up another one. But here's the deal. I'm going to go Pokeball. I'm not going to flee because I'm not like afraid of it. And I'm not, although the sweating all the time does make me uncomfortable. I don't feel like I want that thing around me. Certainly not like holding on to my leg while I'm in shorts like Misty and have this weird sweaty frog thing with a deep voice holding on to me all the time.
Poliwhirl.
So I honestly don't want him. I like the other evolution, but there's other water types that I would want more. But I'm not. Am I gonna flee? No, flee feels like I'm like oh, I'm a run. I will Pokeball, and he's immediately going into the computer, and I'll never see him again.
You're sending him to Bill. I'm doing that too. I'm throwing a Pokeball. As I said, I think this is one that you could just skip. You can go straight to Poliwrath. If I was working for the Pokemon company, that's what I would do. But yeah, altogether, I do think some of those Pokedex entries make it a little bit cool. I like that undulating swirl. I like the sliminess. That's cool. That's a boy Pokemon right there. Boys like sliminess. Not trying to reinforce gender norms. I'm just saying what I know.
They're made from snails and puppy dog tails. I mean, everyone knows that.
And snails are slimy.
True.
So all that to say, I mean, there's stuff to like about it, but if I'm not crazy about it, I'm almost in the same place that you are, Zach. I also would flee, but I ain't afraid of this thing.
Yeah,
I ain't afraid of no toad. All right, it's time for our power ranking, Zach.
Okay.
This doesn't have to do with how badly we want. We think of it in a fight. And Zach, I hate to say it, I don't think Poliwhirl's that great in a fight.
No,
so what I'm going to do is for our listeners, I'm going
3.
What? Yeah, I agree. I think very close to the bottom. I'm going to pull up the for our listeners. You're not going to see it. I'm going to bring up the power ranking. If you're unfamiliar with the power ranking, I would suggest going to our Twitter, not our Twitter, our Instagram, maybe our Twitter. I'll start updating our Twitter with it. But you can go check out our social media, and we will post the power ranking there on a weekly basis. But you're going to see this here if you're watching. I think Zach's right. I think this is going towards the bottom, so I'm going to read our bottom 5. Number 9 is Squirtle, 10 is Spearow, 11 is Nidoran female, 12 is Jigglypuff, 13 is Slowpoke. I think you're right, Zach. I think that Poliwhirl is not a good fighter. He lacks confidence.
Yeah.
He sounds like a doofus. And I mean, compared to his big bro Poliwrath, like you're never picking him first in dodgeball. You're always picking him after Poliwrath's already gone. So here's my thought. I think you're right. I think bottom 3. I think it's either going to be in the new 4th from the bottom slot, or we're putting it somewhere in here. Slowpoke is at the bottom. I think Poliwhirl's got the advantage.
Yeah.
What about Jigglypuff and Nidoran female?
Definitely below Nidoran female. I'm struggling with either above or below Jigglypuff right now. That's where I'm thinking. And I know that you hate Jigglypuff on principle of being a bully,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that Jigglypuff at least has some more things going for it, and I think that it's definitely stronger.
You know what? You brought up the bully. I forgot about the bully bit for a second there. And I just feel you cannot get me to vote for a Poliwhirl. You can't get me to vote for a Jigglypuff above Poliwhirl based on the fact that Poliwhirl is struggling with his self-image. I'm not going to vote for a bully on top of him. That's like,
oh my gosh!
That's like voting for Roger Klotz. Roger Klotz above Doug.
Okay. Well,
was that his last name, Klotz?
Yeah,
I don't want to have to apologize.
Something, but definitely, if you're talking about power ranking, Roger is more powerful.
You're right. If we were doing a Doug power ranking, Roger definitely goes on top.
Doug is at the bottom.
Where's Patty Mayonnaise go?
Oh man,
I think Patty Mayonnaise could beat up Doug.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she could be top, man. She's got.
By the way, who is this audience? Who's listening and they're like, oh, thank God, they finally talked about Doug.
Yeah, I was waiting for that reference. I mean, I don't want to throw down my chips and say that he needs to be below Jigglypuff, but I think the only thing that he almost had going for him was like maybe people fall asleep if they stare at his stomach. Jigglypuff will put you to sleep, and I think he falls asleep with Jigglypuff. Is he more powerful? I don't know. He's asleep and he's lazy. And Jigglypuff is also just puts him to sleep and then draws things on. He's the guy that gets stuff drawn on his face. You know it. You know it.
I have one slight thing. If you're feeling strongly about this, then fine.
Fine.
But I just think you get that Jigglypuff and you get that Poliwhirl together, and that Poliwhirl is undulating. That Poliwhirl is sliming. I think that Jigglypuff touches that Poliwhirl. I think that Jigglypuff is running away. She's saying, I didn't go to fashion school to touch slime.
I don't want to deal with this gross, weird thing.
I didn't skip all my classes in fashion school to deal with this.
I think that you're still, I mean.
Do you feel strongly? You feel strongly that Poliwhirl should be
there's going to be
Jigglypuff.
some things that we're going to have to say that Jigglypuff is stronger for, okay? Like the tadpole that's below the Pokemon we're talking about. I will say
we are setting a dangerous precedent because as soon as we do get to Poliwag is now almost has to be one of the lowest ones on here.
Yes.
But you feel strongly. I don't. I will say, Poliwhirl, feel good about yourself. You got some cool stuff going on. That sliminess, that undulation. You don't need to have a bad self-image. But hopefully this doesn't make you feel any worse. You're number 13 on a list that only has 14. Poliwhirl, almost at the very bottom there. You're beating that Slowpoke, though. So, mean, you may have a dumb-sounding voice, but you're seemingly smarter than Slowpoke. Zach, anything you want to say in closing?
Two things. First is I think that as a human being honest with your emotions is appropriate and healthy. And I do think that that's a sign of strength, to be open about your mental health. Just to clear that up in case anyone's listening at this point, 30 minutes in and they've stayed tuned, make sure that you know that about me. I'm very pro emotional health, unlike Alex's really mean joke. I think really revealed a lot about who he was. And second, I do think that Poliwhirl's a joke. And I think he's slimy and gross.
Me personally, if you don't have a good self-image, start sweating a bunch and undulating your stomach, and stuff will turn around. That's not true. Go see a therapist, or I
feel like that's the advice that they gave. What's his name?
Family.
What's his name on Goonies with the Truffle Shuffle?
The Truffle Shuffle kid.
Yeah.
I am forgetting who is who in Goonies. Is that Thanos?
No, that's not Thanos. Close. No, Thanos is the.
Is that Sean Astin?
No, Sean Astin is also. Sean Astin is the younger brother of Thanos.
Okay. Where's that movie? Come on, Marvel.
Thanos
all right.
and Sean Astin.
Yeah, give us a Sean Astin as one of the new gods. He's what's it called? An immortal? What are they called?
The movie that's never going to come out. Yeah, that's good.
There you go, Dad. I know you wanted me to talk about Marvel's The Immortals, The Eternals. There, I figured it out. As always, the Pokemon Power Podcast. By the way, my dad only likes sports. Doesn't like anything else in the whole wide world.
Not even
also
his
not
son.
true. I feel bad now. I'm like disparaged my father. Good man. Like sports though. As always, the Pokemon Power Podcast would like to thank Bulbapedia.bulbagarden.net, Cerebi.org, and Dr. Lava YT. If you'd like to learn more about Pokemon, those would be great resources for you. If you'd like to ask us a question about next week's Pokemon, submit a game, or just keep up with the podcast, you can find us on most social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Pokepowpod. And everyone out there, whatever's going on in your life, we would like to say that we'd choose you. Have a great week.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye.